everyone, and welcome back to Brown Coat Reviews. I'm your host, Laura, and this is my favorite co-host, my husband, Scott. So today we are talking about Batman, but not just any Batman's title. This is Batman the Detective. This is a 6-part series, and this is issue number 1. So this is written by Tom Taylor, and many of you will remember Tom Taylor from the recent Nightwing 78 that everyone is raving about, Injustice, Suicide Squad, and Deceased. Very well-known author.
Yes, and so the artist on this one is Andykubert. You may recognize him from some of his other titles like Batman Black and White #1, before Watchmen, Night Owl, Damian, Son of Batman, as well as Dark Knight 3, The Master Race. So when I was in the shop actually looking at our pull list that week, I always just kind of glance around, see what else is new, see what's on the shelf that catches my eye. And this actually caught my eye. For one, we've talked in the past about how we've been fans of the detective series and a lot of those covers recently, especially the B covers. But I saw this, I saw the artwork on the cover, including Big Ben there in the background.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Batman, London, yes. That was it. That's all I needed at that point. I didn't know if it was a Batman in like a Batman Noir piece. I didn't know if it was a new piece. Didn't need to know. Picked it up, and I'm very glad that I did.
So in this story, we are in the UK, obviously, that's the Big Ben, and we start with this plane crash. And you don't know who was on the plane. All you know is that the plane crash is being either blamed on Batman or is specifically a message to Batman. So at one point, they're putting on the mask and like, this is because of Batman. And the people who are responsible for crashing the plane are wearing these bat masks. And it starts with that. And then, of course, we eventually have Batman come to London to investigate the plane crash. And at the end, there is a fantastic little twist as to why the plane crash happens. And, of course, Batman piecing it together and realizing this is the main event. And this is what, of course, the rest of the series will be about.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of kind of that concept in sending him on over to London?
So the writing on it explains it very well, I think. And because of where this takes place in the Batman timeline, it does make sense. It also kind of alludes to a deep underlying question, I guess, that he's been faced with in the past. And you get that kind of drawn out in this twist at the end in clear black and white letters. It's almost it's almost like questioning his very existence as Batman, not necessarily as Bruce Wayne, but as Batman. And what does it mean? And the way that they write this, I can't wait for the next issue. I'm wanting to see who's behind it. I have a feeling, I kind of already have some guesses, but I also think that it's in some way a question that a lot of other superheroes might ask themselves as to the good that they do and the actual end result of it. There's a really neat idea behind kind of a butterfly effect, meaning, so I saved you, I punished this criminal, but what are the other side effects besides those two immediate things? Yeah. Because what's going on in the rest of the criminal's background, family life, work environment, whatever else is there is going on, what possible contributions could you make to society now that you might not have gotten, is what most people focus on. But what if there's something else going on? What if the people that are being saved aren't necessarily going to go on to contribute in a positive way later on?
True.
Or what if the people that are being put behind bars, not saying that they're not committing a crime, but what if their motivations were something other than pure evil? And what if by doing that, you're hampering somebody else's ability to have a, quote, normal life or a good life that isn't a criminal, but maybe related to them? That kind of questioning.
Well, and I think in general with Batman, it's always been the fun, debatable point is because he's working with the law, but he's also doing it by going against the law.
He's a vigilante.
Exactly. So he's doing good by doing wrong, which we're all fine with it, and we all want a utility belt, and I'll take some batarangs. At the same time, it does question, does that come with some consequences?
Yeah. And I was also intrigued because I was introduced to a couple of characters that I'm not familiar with. I thought I had heard of one of them before, but I really don't know much about them in this. They're the Knight and the Squire.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there'll be more on them in the coming issues, and I'm looking forward to reading more about them and learning more about them. I might know about them if I had caught up with some of the events prior in the detective series, which I'm still working my way through. But I will say I'm interested in not only his interactions, because he and one of the other characters have an obvious history. There's a lot there in the writing, but I'm curious as to how he, being in a different location with different, I won't say sidekicks, but a different cast of characters around him, how
Instead
that's
of the
going to
Bat
play
family.
out.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and the other thing I will say is, so far into the story, like I said, the Knight and the Squire, I think I'd heard the names before, but I wasn't as familiar with those characters. But I don't feel like I need to reread several series or make sure I cover certain topics to be able to appreciate and follow the series. So if you are new to Batman, this is going to be an easy one to grab, and it'll be an easy little standalone series, 6 issues, and then you're done.
yeah.
So especially if you're not sure, you kind of bought into Batman as a character, this one would not be a bad title to check out.
It stands on its own.
Exactly. It's definitely one that I'm very intrigued by, and I can't wait to see what they do with it. It is, because it's a 6-issue series, obviously there's only certain things that they're going to cover, but considering the short length of the series so far, they're still doing an awful lot. There's still a lot of great action scenes and some great art. So definitely check it out. So far we are still definitely in it. I can't say at this point, it's way too early on to say whether it is like the best Batman standalone series. I don't know. All I know is it's still very enjoyable, and it's one that I'm looking forward to finishing.
Same here.
So we will be back with another comic book review very soon. Do we have any questions for the comments? Do you have any Batman standalone series that you like? Something that's 10 issues or less for people who are newer to Batman and it's their first opportunity to check out a title, or they're kind of getting lost in some of the mythology of Batman. Is there a standalone series that you recommend? We have a couple of our favorites, but I want to hear your recommendations first. And as always, this is Laura and Scott from Brown Coat Reviews, and we will see you all again very soon.